After 8 long years in uniform, Jack Mercer finally drives through the iron gates of Cedar Bluff Estates, the place he bought sight unseen while deployed. The neighborhood looks perfect, lawns trimmed with ruler precision, identical white fences, and silence so complete it feels artificial. His black Mercedes-AMG rolls down the street like a ghost of power, engine rumbling low. For Jack, this car isn't just a machine. It's his reward for survival. Before we start the story, please let us know from where are you watching this video. Write down your country and city in the comment box. Also subscribe and follow our channel so that you may watch our exciting stories every day. He parks in front of his new home, the late sun gleaming on polished chrome. For a few hours, the quiet feels good. He waters the plants. He listens to birds instead of sirens. But from across the street behind a half-closed curtain, someone's watching. The curtain flutters once, then stills. Next morning, Jack meets Karen Hollis, the HOA president. Perfect hair, sharp perfume, voice like sugar over steel. She smiles too long. "Welcome to our community, Mr. Mercer. We value uniformity here. We hope you'll keep things balanced." Her eyes flick to the Mercedes, disapproving. That night, a notice appears on his door. "Remove non-approved commercial-grade vehicle within 48 hours. Jack reads it twice, almost laughs. He's faced mortar fire, ambushes, desert storms. A paper threat on a pastel letterhead? Nothing. He tosses it aside. But Karen watches from her window, offended that he didn't react. To her, disobedience isn't allowed. It's a challenge. And she never loses challenges. The next week, envelopes pile up. $250 fine for engine disturbance, $300 fine for parking angle misalignment, $500 for visual disruption due to reflective surfaces. Jack doesn't respond. He only installs a discreet dash cam and keeps the Mercedes shining. His calm becomes its own weapon. At the next HOA meeting, Karen slams the table, voice shaking. "If we let one man break the rules, the whole neighborhood will follow." The board nods nervously. Someone mentions that Mercer's a veteran. Karen smirks. Then he should know what rules mean. She leaves the meeting with one mission: make Jack Mercer bend. One morning, Jack steps outside to see long, jagged scratches down the side of the Mercedes. His camera footage shows only a blurred figure leaning close, a gloved hand dragging something sharp. He replays it in silence. Later that day, Karen knocks on his door with false concern. "Oh dear, vandalism? You know, that car has been quite the topic around here." Jack studies her face. The stillness in his eyes makes her shift uncomfortably. He says only, "I'll handle it." That night he sits in the dark garage, running his hand over the scars in the paint. Under the hum of the light, memories resurface. Missions, betrayals, the voice of his old commander whispering, "You don't strike first. You wait, watch, then act once." Saturday morning, Jack drives out early to visit an old unit friend. By afternoon, a tow truck rolls up his driveway. Karen stands on the sidewalk, clipboard in hand, reciting HOA bylaws to the confused driver. Non-compliance. "Section 12-2, remove it." The man hesitates. "This car's worth more than my truck." "Then be careful," she snaps. Chains rattle, tires squeal, and the Mercedes groans as it's pulled onto the flatbed. The bumper cracks, alarms scream, neighbors gather with phones out. Karen stands proud, certain she's restoring order. When Jack returns that evening, the driveway is empty, just black skid marks and silence. On his door, "Vehicle removed per regulation." He doesn't react. He walks inside, sets his keys down, and stares through the window for a long time. At midnight, Jack sits in his garage, surrounded by quiet tools and shadows. The air smells like metal and memory. On the workbench lies a half-open laptop, dusted from years unused. He wipes the screen clean. It glows blue in the darkness. Files labeled Operation Wolfglass and Tactical Field Logs flicker open. He scrolls through maps, contact lists, security schematics. His breathing slows. The soldier in him, the one he buried under peaceful living, begins to stir. "They wanted discipline," he murmurs. "Let's teach them what it really means." Outside, the streetlights buzz. Behind a nearby curtain, Karen sleeps peacefully. convinced she's won. But every war Jack Mercer fought started the same way, with someone underestimating him. Jack doesn't shout. He watches. For 2 nights, he sits near the garage window with a thermos and a small infrared camera Ethan helped him hide in a birdhouse. The footage is grainy, but it tells a story. A white truck, a pair of gloved hands, someone taking careful photos of license plates. Jack pauses the clip again and again, zooming until pixels smear. He notices a logo on the truck's door, half a name, an address fragment. Small things most people miss. He writes the pieces down on a notepad like a surgeon marking a map. Outside, neighborhood lights blink in careful order. Inside, Jack closes the laptop and breathes slow. He calls Ethan and says only, "I've got what we need." The line goes quiet on the other end, full of meaning. Ethan moves fast. He traces the truck's partial logo through business registries and finds a shell towing company with links to the HOA board. He also scrapes public posts and finds a private chat where neighbors brag about sorting out that flashy car. Every crumb of data turns into a thread he pulls. Jack prints pages, pins them on a board, and draws lines with a red marker. The map grows. Tow drivers, an off-the-book storage yard, a man who signs HOA checks. The anger that once burned cold in Jack now focuses like a laser. He does not post or call the news. Instead, he sets traps, legal letters, recorded phone calls, scheduled maintenance requests, small moves that test responses and leave paper trails. Each test reveals another layer of who answers to Karen and who quietly follows. Karen senses pushback and doubles down on public charm. She posts a glossy apology on the neighborhood page. Regret about the towing incident, working to correct mistakes. Cameras catch her smiling at a neighbor's barbecue the same day. But Jack knows PR when he sees it. He arranges a meeting with Officer Dana Brooks and brings his evidence folder. Camera footage, the towing receipt with a forged authorization, stamp, and a recorded call where a tow manager admits he acted under special instructions. Dana studies the documents, jaw tight. She promises a formal inquiry. Jack nods, but his eyes are already on the storage yard. He sends Ethan a single message, "Tonight." The screen goes black as the plan clicks into place. At 2 a.m., Jack and Ethan drive slow and low. The storage yard sits behind a chain-link fence, industrial lights painting hard shadows. Cameras blink on poles, but Ethan's jammer gives them a window. They slip through a gap Ethan's crew found in the night map. Up close, the Mercedes sits under a tarp, its silhouette cruel and small in the floodlight. Jack's stomach tightens, not for the car, but for the need of what comes next. He takes photos, catalogs dents, notes the tow company sticker, and finds a scrap of paper shoved under the wheel well, an inventory tag with Karen's HOA stamp. A single proof, heavy as a stone. They leave without touching more. On the drive back, the neighborhood is quiet but watchful. Jack feels the first real turn, evidence in hand, but a larger trap now waiting to close. Jack doesn't explode online. He lets the law do the yelling. Officer Dana delivers a subpoena for the towing company the next morning. The tow yard owner balks. Lawyers sniff around, and the county inspector shows up to seal records. News vans roll in like vultures sensing a storm. Karen's confident smile begins to fracture as neighbors ask questions she can't smoothly answer. Ethan uploads a compressed folder of images and timestamps to a secure server and sends the link to a trusted reporter, Nia Torres. Nia's headline, "Lands like thunder. HOA-linked towing company implicated in luxury car destruction." The comment section explodes. Karen's name trends. She calls emergency board meetings, accusing Jack of staging everything. Calm and quiet, Jack posts a single photo. The Mercedes tarp tag with her stamp. The silence that follows is loud. Karen panics. She tries to seize control, calling in favors, threatening lawsuits, and ordering the storage yard to shred records. The yard owner refuses in public and offers a sealed affidavit instead. He was paid, he says, from an HOA account. Karen's lies start to peel like old paint. In one last reckless move, she organizes a neighborhood cleanup at Jack's street and publicly demands restitution, this time in front of the cameras. Tempers flare. A neighbor steps forward, holding a phone with footage from the night the Mercedes was towed, clear audio of a board member saying, "Make him pay." The crowd goes silent, and then loud. Karen's face goes ashen. She lunges toward the neighbor, screaming, and in that moment a drone, sent by Ethan, whirs above, its red light marking every face. The sheriff's cruiser lights reflect off chrome and glass. As officers move in, Karen yells a single line that will haunt the rest of the neighborhood. "You think you can ruin me and walk away?" No one answers. The camera hovers. The viewer waits, because what Jack does next will not be chaos. It will be precise, and it will end the way wars end, by taking the high ground. After the incident, Karen disappears from public view for a week. Her manicured yard grows wild, her mailbox overflows. The HOA's Facebook page goes quiet, the comment section locked. But Jack knows silence doesn't mean surrender. It means regrouping. Inside his study, blueprints and maps cover the walls. Ethan sits across from him, cross-legged on the floor, scanning encrypted messages from an old military contact who now runs private security contracts. They exchange one sentence. "If they want war, make it legal." Jack smiles faintly. He begins drafting a civil claim, not for damages, but for public negligence and misuse of funds. A legal nuke disguised as paperwork. The neighborhood will never see it coming. That night, Ethan activates what he calls the Mirror. It's a web archive that tracks every HOA transaction ever made, through public ledgers, emails, and cached reports Karen thought she deleted. One by one, Ethan finds questionable payments. Community improvements sent to fake companies, invoices with forged signatures. Each discovery is like pulling a thread from a curtain. Jack watches the numbers line up, remembering missions where the smallest intel shift turned tides. Then they hit gold, a payment labeled Property Enhancement Grant, Mercer Residence. It's proof that Karen used Jack's own address as part of a fraud scheme. The irony makes Jack laugh under his breath. "She forged my name," he mutters. "She signed my war." Karen reappears at the next HOA emergency session, her face pale but lips tight. She tries to spin a story, claims of misunderstanding, cyber manipulation, and veteran intimidation. The board nods nervously, unwilling to meet her eyes. Cameras from local news outlets film everything. Mid-meeting, Jack enters quietly and stands at the back. The room stiffens. Karen freezes mid-sentence. He doesn't speak. He just places a black binder on the front table. Inside are the transaction sheets, signed emails, and time-stamped footage. The board president flips through it, eyes widening. Karen starts shouting that it's fake, that he hacked her. But the auditor standing behind her whispers something to a reporter, and that single whisper spreads faster than her words ever could. By the time Jack leaves, Karen's voice has turned from denial to panic. Outside, Ethan is waiting in the car. "You didn't even have to say a word," he says. Jack replies, "When truth walks in, lies don't need to be chased." Within days, the county fraud unit seizes HOA records. 2 board members resign overnight. The neighborhood that once whispered behind Jack's back now watches in stunned silence. Houses that proudly displayed HOA proud signs start quietly taking them down. But the victory isn't clean. One night, Jack's motion sensors trigger. A stone crashes through his garage window. The security feed catches a silhouette sprinting away, a woman with familiar hair screaming something incoherent into the dark. Jack doesn't chase. He calls the police, sends them the footage, then sits by the broken glass with a calm that only soldiers understand. "You're losing it, Karen," he whispers to the empty air. And that's when people like you make mistakes. 2 days later, Karen files a harassment complaint against Jack, hoping to flip the story. But Ethan's ready. They've already synced timestamps showing she was the one vandalizing property. Officer Dana personally delivers the counterproof to the judge, who issues a restraining order against Karen instead. When reporters swarm her front lawn, she tries to stage another meltdown, screaming about conspiracies and war criminals. But Jack doesn't appear. He's not outside. He's not answering. He's gone quiet again. That night, while the media feasts on her chaos, Ethan uploads the last file, a 3-minute video of Karen ordering the tow operator to teach him a lesson. The clip ends with her laughing. It goes viral within hours. The internet names her Tow Queen Karen. Her career, her influence, her HOA throne, all gone before sunrise. Karen's downfall is public, brutal, and complete. The HOA dissolves under investigation. Jack's Mercedes, restored and spotless, returns home under official escort, a symbol of quiet justice. But there's one final surprise. Inside the trunk, mechanics find an envelope taped under the carpet, Karen's handwriting, shaking and desperate. It reads, "You took everything from me. You'll never find peace in that house." Jack folds the letter and burns it without a word. He stands on his driveway as dawn spreads across the valley, sunlight bouncing off his car's hood. The war is over. But as he looks toward Karen's dark, abandoned house, he murmurs, "Peace isn't found. It's earned." He turns, closes the garage, and the screen fades to black. A final note of silence, the sound of a man who's finally won by never losing himself. Days pass, but the silence feels heavier than before. The media has moved on. Neighbors who once feared Jack now wave politely, awkwardly, trying to act normal. The HOA sign at the neighborhood entrance is gone. Only a pole remains, half buried in dirt. But Jack doesn't celebrate. Every victory leaves a quiet echo in his head, the same kind of stillness that used to follow firefights overseas. He spends mornings repairing the garage window, cleaning tools, trying to pretend it's all over. Yet each time he passes the driveway, he catches a flicker of Karen's shadow in his mind. That glare, that hunger for control. Ethan visits with pizza and a grin. "You did it, man. It's done." Jack half smiles. "No," he says quietly. "It's never really done. People like her, they just hide until they find another hill." He looks toward the abandoned Hollis house on the corner. Curtains move slightly, though the place is supposed to be empty. He stares, unblinking. "Someone's in there." Cut to black. That night, Jack's cameras catch faint motion again, a figure entering the old Hollis property. He replays the footage in slow motion. Long coat, small flashlight, trembling hands. It's Karen, except Karen is supposed to be in psychiatric custody after her court breakdown. Jack's hand freezes on the mouse. Ethan insists it's an old clip, maybe a glitch, but Jack zooms closer, enhancing the timestamp. It's live. He grabs his jacket and steps into the cold air, the sound of gravel crunching under his boots. As he nears the house, the porch light flickers on by itself. The air feels charged, like a memory coming alive. Inside, the house is dark except for one room, the living room, where old HOA folders are scattered on the floor like broken wings. Then a whisper cuts through the air. "You ruined everything." Jack turns, but no one's there. Only the rustle of wind through cracked windows. When he looks back down, a single paper lies at his feet, an old HOA form signed by his late wife's name. His blood runs cold. "How did she—" he mutters, voice shaking. Jack brings the paper home and scans it under his desk lamp. The form references a foundation grant signed before his return from deployment, meaning Karen forged not just his signature, but his wife's years ago, while she was still in recovery from an accident. The revelation hits him like shrapnel. She hadn't just destroyed his car, she'd stolen from his family when they were most vulnerable. Rage builds quietly, not wild, but razor sharp. He calls Officer Dana, who confirms the file is real and tied to an old HOA property fund. "You could have charged her for fraud years ago," she says softly. "But maybe now. It's time to close this fully." That night, Jack sits at his workbench, staring at his wife's handwriting next to Karen's forgery. For the first time, his eyes well with tears. Not from anger, from release. He whispers, "You fought the wrong war, Karen. The real battle was never about control. It was about what we protect." At dawn, Jack walks to the hill overlooking the valley, the one Karen once claimed he ruined. The sky glows gold across the horizon, washing over the quiet houses below. He kneels beside a small metal box buried under an old oak. Inside are dog tags, a folded flag, and his wife's photo. He sets the forged paper beside it, lights a match, and watches it burn to ash. "You can rest now," he whispers to both of them, his wife and the life she tried to build here. Behind him, the wind carries faint sirens. Karen's last appeal has been denied. The county officially files charges for fraud, property damage, and defamation. Her name will vanish from Cedar Bluff's records forever. Jack doesn't smile. He simply stands, brushes the dirt from his hands, and looks down at the valley, peaceful, whole, and finally his. Weeks later, Cedar Bluff feels like a different world. The lawns grow natural now, the fences no longer uniform. People wave freely. Rules are replaced by respect. But Jack stays to himself. He works on his Mercedes, fixing the final dent by hand, not because of pride, but because he wants no trace of what was broken. Ethan drops by with news. The HOA's gone for good. The neighborhood elected a new committee, volunteer only. Jack nods, silent, focused on tightening a bolt. "Good," he murmurs. "Maybe now they'll learn what real freedom feels like." The camera lingers on his scarred hands, grease-stained but steady. The hands of a man who's done with fighting, yet will never forget why he fought. In the background, a faint radio plays news of Karen's sentencing. 3 years probation, mandatory therapy. Jack doesn't react. His war is over, but in his garage, a small plaque now hangs above his tools. It reads, "For those who defend peace, even at home." Jack spends his evenings walking the valley, the same land Karen once called an eyesore. He's bought up the empty lots, not for profit, but to protect them. The place is alive again. Wildflowers, kids riding bikes, neighbors gardening together. A symbol of what control once crushed. Officer Dana visits one afternoon, bringing a letter from the Veterans Foundation. They want to name the hill after him, Mercer's Rise. Jack laughs softly, shaking his head. "No monuments," he says. "Let the hill belong to everyone." She smiles. "Then that's your legacy, Jack. You gave it back." As she drives away, Jack looks out across the valley. Sunlight hits the roof of his Mercedes like a quiet salute. In that moment, the valley no longer feels haunted. It feels healed. In war, you fight to survive. At home, you fight to live. The hardest part is knowing when to stop fighting and start rebuilding. It's early morning. Mist rolls over the valley as Jack sips coffee on his porch. The camera drifts upward, revealing the neighborhood bathed in golden light, peaceful, renewed, and whole. A child's laughter echoes in the distance. Ethan's truck passes by, honking twice, a friendly rhythm. Jack waves back and smiles faintly. His Mercedes gleams quietly in the driveway, restored to perfection, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Resilience has a sound. They broke what I love to prove a point, but all they did was remind me what I was built to protect. The shot rises higher, showing the vast green valley below. Once a battlefield of control, now a sanctuary of peace.